Microsoft Teams. Can you ensure that your microphones are off, folks? Thank you. The meeting has now been recorded and will be made available on the course website following the meeting. The first item on the agenda is the minute of the meeting of 19th April 2023. Had a look at it? Yep. Good. Thank you. Declaration of interest, folks. Any members are asked to declare any interests they may have in any items on the agenda. To be helpful, members expressed why they are declaring an interest in the item concerned. No declaration of interest. Thank you. We're now going to go to item 4 on the agenda. Item 4 will take first, and we welcome Chief Inspector Jane Mackenzie to the meeting. Can I just remind members that questions put to the Chief Inspector should be more at a strategic level rather than direct operational or direct questions which may affect ongoing operations. This is not what this meeting's about. Thank you. Okay. I'll get it eventually, Jane.
Thank you. So just by way of introduction, to give a bit of an update from a divisional perspective and also from a local perspective. So there are no figures presented at the meeting, and that's to allow.
It's a local plan.
Item 4. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to item 3.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm aware there was feedback given in relation to the local plan, which has been incorporated into the revised plan, which should have been circulated to members in advance of the meeting. So I'm happy to take any questions in relation to it. Anybody has them?
No one with their hands up. Thank you. Members happy to approve this local plan? Yes, approved. Thank you. Item 5 now on the agenda, which is performance management.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to briefly run through the report, the main item for the Community Safety Board is in relation to consumer and environmental services, which is at 6.9 in the report. I'm pleased to say that the services are running to target, and Mr. Fraser will be doing a substantive report on the service plan. So I'll leave all that detail to Colin to report on later in the agenda. 6.10 outlines the range of interventions the service has been undertaking, the numbers of export health certificates and other registration documents, and you'll see from that the service has been undertaking quite a significant level of work over the past quarter. The other thing to note, the implementation of short-term licensing scheme, which was implemented on the 1st of October, and significant amount of work, applications and licenses being issued in regard to that. This being year end, the other significant item in the report is at 9.1, which reports on the financial outturn for the service and the committee. You will see from that Consumer Environmental Services has come in ahead of budget, £42,000 ahead of budget. The YCAS, the Citizens Advice Contract, came in exactly on contract, and there was a wee bit of a deficit in the joint boards. So overall, that makes the Community Safety Board outturn at £38,000 ahead of budget, which in the present financial situation, I think is a commendable performance from Mr. Fraser and the Consumer and Environmental Services team, and delivers a good outturn for the board. Happy to leave it at that, Chair, but happy to take any questions.
Thank you. No questions. The report is for noting and provides an overview of the Communities Director's business plan progress and related performance for Q4. Thank you, Deputy Chief Executive. Do members agree to note the report? Yep. Item 6, consumer protection and environmental health. That be yourself, Colin?
Thanks, Chair. Yes, the report's up. It's a review of the annual services plan, which is up to the board for noting. It outlines a kind of summary of the work the services have done over the year, as the Deputy Chief Exec has already kind of outlined. I won't go through the plan in detail, just highlight the main points again that the services dealt with. One of the main things through it was animal health. They had the kind of one of the first avian flu outbreaks in a commercial block, so the service kind of helped deal with that. It was new and a learning curve for all of us. The other one, as mentioned, is the short-term licensing, which has been, a significant kind of new duty on the services, which with a short lead in time, we've managed to get operational and are well on way to ensure that all the kind of operators are licensed. The next deadline is for the 1st of October this year, which it was originally going to be the 1st of April 2023. So we were working to the deadline of the 1st of April, which was the end of the last financial year. So it is going on target. We are hoping to continue to get them all processed in a timeliest manner. So they're the main two kind of areas. I'm happy to answer any other questions or any other points raised in the report.
That's a big project, the buy-to-let licensing scheme. Must be enormous. Are you finding any hostility from?
Most of them are kind of on board because they recognise it's not the core that's introducing the scheme. It's a national scheme, so we're just trying to introduce it as best we can in that. And we have kind of provided a lot of assistance to the operators through webinars and through information on the website. So I think we are getting, feedback is there's some obviously not happy with the scheme, and we do get some concerns that we haven't given enough information, but on the whole we do get quite a lot of positive feedback about the way we have kind of implemented it. So.
Good, thank you. Okay, that's for noting. I beg your pardon.
Thank you. Not so much a question, Chair, more just a point I wanted to bring up. I've had a number of reasons to be in touch with the department over dog control, aggressive dogs and dog fouling. And I just wanted to commend the staff for the very quick responses and the improvements noted in all three situations. And I think that's worth noting because these are kind of things that do upset and worry people in their neighbourhoods. So it's good when action is taken quickly to address these issues.
Thank you. Anyone else? No, thank you. Reports for noting and presents. Do members agree to note the report? Yeah. Thank you. Performance monitoring. Reports outstanding. Yourself.
Just for noting, Chair, so the report outstanding concerns the local government benchmarking framework, and we'll be reporting through each of the performance reports, and we'll be reporting the year-end outcome at the next board meeting.
Thank you, Alan. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Just as I said earlier, I would like to reiterate that questions for Chief Inspector Mackenzie, if we can aim them at a strategic level rather than operational cases, possibly ongoing cases and individual cases, if we can try and avoid that, remember this is a public forum, and what we discuss in here is for the benefit of the public. If we can keep this at a strategic level, that would be beneficial for all concerned. Thank you. I'd like now to present item 3 on the agenda, again by Chief Inspector Mackenzie.
So just to give a flavour of what has been happening across the division, there are no performance figures for this term, so the figures are embargoed until the end of this week to allow the Chief Constable to present the figures to the SPA board and to the Scottish Government. We are, like every other public sector service, in financially challenging times. There has been a reduction in the organisational budget, which has led to a reduction of officer numbers across the force. The impact on Highlands and Islands division, we're one of the least affected divisions, with a 9-officer reduction across the entire division. Work is ongoing to explore where we can work smarter so that to try and not impact on service levels. But to give a flavour, our divisional overtime budget is around a third of what we spent last year. So that will potentially present challenges as the year goes on. With the budgetary constraints on us, there has to be the Chief Constable said there has to be an expectation that there may be a reduction in the levels of service that we want or are able to deliver. However, since the last meeting in February, officers have remained very busy. There is a significant demand in relation to concern for person calls. 2 examples I'll give in recent weeks have been, first one is 1 24-hour period, so 23 incidents. Within that, 7 of which related to concern for person calls, some of which are reported by partner agencies. Similarly, another day we had 23 calls in a 24-hour period, 5 of which were concern for person calls. This does present a significant demand on police, with some incidents taking hours to resolve, and the impact that then impacts on our ability to be proactive and respond to other reports of other incidents. I am pleased to report there's been an increase in officer numbers since the last meeting, which puts us in a unique position in the division in that we are over our allocated number of officers. We had an officer join us in February from out within division. We have another officer joining us in mid-June who's a transferee from out with Scotland, another officer taking up a post in Tarbert at the end of this month, and a probationer joining us later this summer who's currently at Scottish Police College. We continue to be supported by officers from the mainland as and when required, including this week, to allow officers to undertake mandatory training. We are going to be introducing forensic and drug wipe training for officers across the Western Isles, which will give officers additional skills and the ability to tackle drug driving and provide resilience in relation to forensic examinations across the area command. I'm aware of the ongoing concerns in relation to youth antisocial behaviour. So as I said at the previous meeting, I do chair the Youth Justice Subcommittee. It continues to meet each month at the moment and reports to the Child Protection Committee. So updates since the last meeting, Action for Children are going to begin restorative justice work, and they are looking to provide support on Friday evenings, which have been identified as a key time in addition to Friday afternoons and Saturdays. And whilst we can't publish figures, key times would appear to be Fridays and Saturdays between 3 in the afternoon and 9 in the evening. So we will endeavour to carry out patrols either ourselves and or Action for Children within these times. We are looking at child participation activities out with school, but it's been noted that there are few youth groups running across the islands and a shortage of volunteers to support activities. And that's something that's been experienced by various members of the group. Action for Children and Extended Learning are both offering activities for young people. There's a mentoring scheme which is being explored, but it is in the very early stages. And I have a meeting next week with Partnerships, Prevention and Community Wellbeing Division of Police Scotland to see what national assistance they can offer and advice in relation to what's being experienced in the Western Isles and what may have worked well in other areas that we could maybe tap into. The campus officer is still being progressed and we're awaiting finalisation of the service level agreement in relation to that. We're not aware of youth antisocial behaviour issues affecting areas out with Stornoway. Incidents aren't being reported, but I'm aware that members have raised Barra as potentially having issues. But again, We aren't receiving reports, though we seem to be aware of discussions on social media, and local officers are aware and addressing that. In relation to engagement, we're looking to begin a newsletter that will circulate to community councils to provide updates on policing activities. We're looking to start coffee with a cop events, which you may have seen in other areas, which will give the public access to officers. It'll be a drop-in opportunity to allow them to speak with officers on a one-to-one basis. We'll pilot that in the Stornoway area and see if we can then roll that out wider across the Western Isles. I was down the Southern Isles in the last couple of months, and I did try to do it there, but they didn't come to fruition. But I'll continue to make efforts to do that as I travel throughout the Western Isles. I think that's probably it for me as by way of update, unless anybody has any questions.
Just an observation. Yes, I remember we tried to introduce surgeries.
Yeah.
Complete and utter disaster. They just, I went along to 3 over a 3-month period, and not one single person attended. That was in places where police stations had been closed, and that was the idea was to make oneself available to the public. They didn't want to know, really. It wasn't something that goes down particularly well here, I think. So good luck, but
We'll try.
yeah,
We're aware.
yeah.
We're aware there's an impact on public confidence, especially in the current climate. We need to try,
Yes,
and we're prepared to try. So
thank you.
we'll see how that goes.
Gordon Murray online. Gordon.
Sorry, I missed this. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Gordon.
Sorry, I missed the start of that. And thanks a lot for your time and meetings that you've given me over the last wee while. I was listening intently to what you've said, and there's a lot of good work that's going on that's been taken forward. And my only ask is, would it be possible to maybe publicise that so that the public know or are aware of all the work that's been doing to try and address some of these issues that are causing concern to people? But thanks and well done.
Thanks, Chair. So yes, we can publicise some of that. I've obviously said before, I will not publish anything that may identify anybody, but part of that newsletter is about putting that information out there to allow communities to know what we are doing. I would ask that where communities are raising issues, that members perhaps suggest they volunteer and they ask what is going on in their own local communities, because that's certainly the feedback from partners, is that a lot of the activities that would have been available pre-COVID are no longer available, and there's been a reduction in volunteers. So that would be the ask from me in relation to that, but I'm more than happy to share what we're doing.
Thank you. Councillor Finnegan. Paul. Councillor Finnegan, can you hear us? Okay. Councillor Murray, Francis Murray.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to comment again on some of the suggestions you were making there, and they're very welcome, I'm sure. And I think it is a case of ensuring that people in the communities, if they are feeling under threat, to get the opportunity to speak to somebody. And I think at a recent event that a number of us attended, you saw that very much, that getting the opportunity to speak was really valuable. And it'll be interesting to see if the coffee with a cop, or whatever it's going to be called, is something that people will appreciate. Perhaps to have it more at a community drop-in where community events are on would be better than, you know, the sort of individual surgery approach, because I can understand that people might not want to be seen attending in such a way. So I do wish that every success. I think another suggestion along the lines of the restorative justice, getting young people involved in something that's going to benefit the community, finding opportunities for them to make some kind of restoration is a really good approach if we can find activities that they can be involved in. And I'm aware of a couple myself that are in early stages of discussion, which will certainly involve partner working, you know, whether it be social work or Action for Children or and yourselves. But just thank you very much for that update.
Thank you. Councillor Paul Finnegan. Your hand is up. Nothing heard.
Can you hear me now, Chair?
Yes, can hear you now, Paul. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, so it was just to thank the Chief Inspector for the news about the Talbot office, the officer starting. So we had a conversation with myself and Councillor Fulton quite a few months ago, and she talked about this possibility. So it's really good that that's come to fruition. I'd just like to thank her for that work, for her work on that. So thanks.
Councillor Norrie MacDonald.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think it's important for all of us as councillors, and particularly within our own communities, to support as best we can our own local schools and our own local youth clubs, particularly if we have these established within our own areas. We've seen good work, particularly down in Point, with the support we're getting to our youth club and the amount of members that attend regularly down there. And we're lucky in many respects that we have our own community turbine that's been happy to support them as well, and the County State funding application as well, that the burden of that was taken off the County State by PST coming in and offering 90% of the funding for their projects. But if we have activities and within youth clubs and schools, I think, and our kids have something to focus on other than free time, which they might use not so productively, I think it's very important for us as councillors to actively support our local schools and our local youth organisations wherever we can. And I'm also pleased to note, Inspector Mackenzie, that the ninjas in Stornoway seem to have kind of dissipated. I don't see as many of them around as there used to be. I don't know, have they had a severe talking to and are paying cognizance to the warnings they've had, but it certainly seems quieter around the town, maybe because it's the summer and it's, you can probably see them more visibly. But I think in the last year, certainly the activity with the bikes has decreased. So I'm glad to note that, and thanks for your report and thanks for your help.
Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. Anyone else? Thank you. No other questions? Thank you. Chief Inspector Mackenzie. Thank you. Concludes the meeting. Thank you very much, folks.